Hey y'all, it's Crystal. Thanks so much for coming by today. We're just going to do a reading update today because it's been a little while. I missed my weekly reading update last week because of the holiday weekend that we had here in the U.S. and we had visitors coming with and stayed with us that weekend. So, they were in my usual spot here, and I wasn't going to record when they were in when they were in the house anyway. So I skipped a week. So we got a lot of catching up to do. So let's jump right into what I've read and got all into the past couple of weeks. All right, let's go. So last week, though, in place of my weekly reading update, I did put out a reading vlog where I read some Japanese books, and I had a really fun time with that vlog. I know it's a bit long. I would love some love for it, though, if you want to have time to watch it. I read 6 Japanese books that have been translated, so focusing on some translated works. And I also watched some Japanese dramas and listened to some Japanese music and cooked a Japanese noodle dish. And I'm really proud of that vlog. So if you have a moment, want to give it a little watch, I'd appreciate it. But I'll link it below. But just really quickly to run through what I read for that, I did read Volume 1 of Blood on the Tracks by Shuzo Oshimi, and this was an amazing first installment. It has definitely gripped you by the end to want to continue, which, I mean, what more can you ask for from a manga series, right? So yeah. I have book 2 ready to go, so... I read Grotesque by Natsuo Kirino. Really loved this. It was not quite what I was expecting it to be, but I ended up really enjoying it. Really loved the writing. A very interesting character study of women and girls, growing up and all that kind of. It's good. Check out the blog if you want more info. I finally read Battle Royale. Yay! This is by Hoshin Takami, and really. Koushun Takimi, and this was fantastic, and so glad that I finally read it. Groups of teenagers are put on an island and have to kill each other for the last man standing for reasons. It was good. I also listened to the audiobook for Ryu Murakami's Audition. Really enjoyed that. Kind of a good for you, girl kind of story by the end of it all. Really loved that. I read My Annihilation by Fuminori Nakamura. Very kind of strange story, some psychological elements. Again, really enjoyed that one. And what was the last one I read? Zombie Cherry. Yeah, so this was another manga that I read. Really cute. This was more of a cutesy one. It's like a teen girl who becomes a zombie and is cute. So yeah, those were the books I read for that, and had a really just had a really fun time. So some other things that I have finished up and read. I did read my Nancy Drew Files book. We read case number 2, Deadly Intent. This was a buddy read with Mr. Shady Side Library himself. We had a really fun time chatting about this one, and this one was fun. It was it's so of its time, really. But so Nancy and a couple of her friends are invited to New York City to see this rock band. But right before the show is starting, one of the members of the band goes missing. So Nancy Drew is on the case, and we just follow what happens, and it was a fun time. The reasoning behind everything is very much of its time regarding music, so that was really fun. I won't give away just in case you want to, just in case. But yeah, these are just really fun. They're a bit more. If you've read sort of classic Nancy Drew, these are a bit more soap opera-y in a way. There's a lot to do with relationships. Like has a boyfriend in here, and they're kind of right here. They're a little bit kind of on the ins and outs a little bit because things that happened in book 1. But yeah, it was fun, and the belted sweater. It's just amazing. So had a really fun time. It was a really fun buddy read. Thank you for everybody reading that Mr. Shady Side Library with me. And what's next? What is next? I have no idea. Excuse me. I had an audiobook hold come in for The Light from Uncommon Stars by Ryka Aoki. Oh, that I love this. I really liked this one. This is a science fiction story, but I'd say it's it's both kind of a light sci-fi mixed with a little bit of interesting, science technology as well. It does take place here on Earth, but essentially, there's an alien couple. There's aliens that take over a donut shop, and they want to transport the donut part into basically a sort of hub for transportation, like what do you call it? So people can like come into from other galaxies. You know what I'm trying to say. I can't think of the word I'm trying to think of, but anyway. And then there's also wrapped around this story of this kind of young girl who is just a trans girl, and she is a sort of I don't want to say prodigy, but kind of a prodigy for a violin player. And then she kind of has run away from home and kind of gets picked up by this really well-known and prestigious violin teacher who also is more than she seems. And it seems like a complex story, but it's really not. It's really lovely. It's kind of about found family, finding yourself, loving yourself, mixed around this donut shop. And yeah, it was really wonderful. Becky Chambers vibes as far as these characters, and then really get into their stories and their relationships together, and in that found family aspect, which I think Becky Chambers is so good at. And yeah, it was really lovely. Maybe felt a tinge long, but I had a really good time with this, and I really loved it. So definitely, if it's been on your radar, pick it up and just go into it. Just go into it. Don't read much about it. Just read it. Yeah, it was good. Alrighty, what's next? Oh, I did also. Zombie Awareness Month was still happening in May, and I read Carrie Ryan's The Forest of Hands and Teeth. This is a YA novel. I don't read tons of YA. I'm not anti-YA. Just don't always pick it up a whole lot. But this was pretty interesting, actually. I like the story behind it, everything. So it's basically a post-apocalyptic, zombie apocalypse has happened, right? And I don't know, I'm not sure how many years later. I don't think it's not really, doesn't really matter. And we're in this sort of community that has been established with walls and everything. But there's also this really religious aspect of this kind of sisterhood that has control of the information, and they kind of set how things are happening within this community. Our main character is, of course, this teenage girl, and what was her name? Mary. Yes, Mary, and she has been sent to the sisterhood in the beginning of the book because no young man has sort of spoken for her for marriage, that kind of thing. And it basically, secrets unfold. We learn things as we go. And there is some, because it's a YA novel, there's a bit of love stories in here, a bit of a quadrangle, which kind of got a little much for me. I will say, I don't normally mind romance, but like teen romance can get a little annoying, right? So that was annoying, but everything else was really interesting. Like I said, how this world was set up, this whole sort of philosophy and theology about the sisterhood and the guardians and the zombies themselves, which they call the unconsecrated, and and just how we learn things as we go. This is the start of a series. I do not know that I'll continue. I think it's 4 books. I don't know, but I mean, I will say how it ended. I mean, I'm kind of interested, to see. So maybe, sometime down the road. I'm not in a super rush, but if I need an audiobook or something, maybe I'll pull up book 2. But I really, it was interesting. It was a different sort of zombie story in that this society has established itself. It's not, like right after the apocalypse where all hell is broken loose and everyone's going, this has been happening for a while now. So things have been established and things are happening and there's a way that we do things, that kind of thing. So it was a different kind of perspective. So I like that part of it. So yeah, I'd say if you're interested, just give it a go. No, it's a YA novel and there is a bit of this love story which can get slightly annoying. But the general story is pretty interesting. That's what I would say. Okay. What's next? Look at my list. I think I talked about Front Desk, right, by Kelly Yang. I think I did. Loved it. Loved it. Okay, so I think my list here is just a bit out of order. Another zombie book. Yeah, I read the Stranger Things. Zombie Boys. This is a graphic novel. Let's see. Greg Pak, Valeria Favocia, Dan Jackson, Nick Pecos, and Ron Chan are all involved in this. And this was really fun. This was super fun. Basically, we have, our main kids, and this takes place kind of like right after season 1. So Will is back from the Upside Down, and so it's definitely kind of before season 2, I would say. Yeah. And there's a new kid that comes in town and joins the AV club, and they decide to make this zombie movie together. So it's not really about zombies, it's about them making a zombie movie. But it's really fun, and it also explores a little bit here about how Will is feeling after coming back from the Upside Down, which I really liked. And of course, Mike is missing 11 because she's gone up into season 1. Yeah, it was fun. I mean, it's not gonna blow your socks away or anything, but if you're a Stranger Things fan, it's a fun read, and I like a lot of these graphic novels. So here's the new kid that comes into town, like his jaw shirt. Yeah, it was fun. Alrighty, what's next? Oh, Nova. Where did I put with that book? I read Nova by Samuel R. Delaney. I read this as a buddy read with my buddy Mike. Yay, Mike, we did it. And this is another science fiction space opera story. That again, it wasn't quite what I think I thought it was, but overall, I liked it. The writing style for Samuel R. Delaney is just really different. I think you have to know that going in, because I've read Battle 17 now, and I've read Nova. Yeah, he just has a distinct writing style, I would say, which not everyone I think is going to jive with. Just right up front. But this one is very interesting. It has this sort of ragtag crew of characters that essentially we follow this one guy named Lord Von Ray, who was the captain of this starship, spaceship, whatever you want to call it. And he gets a crew together to travel to a nova to try to get some kind of element from the nova, Illyrium, I think it was called. And the other characters that are on the ship, a couple that are pretty interesting, like the mouse, who plays this instrument, which is really interesting because it's, if you picture like a guitar, but it also has the sound of the music, but also like gives people visions and like scents and odors. So it's like this whole experience with the instrument. Very interesting. There's this like set of twins. There's a lot of interesting characters that get up on this ship, right? But there's also these other characters, this brother and sister that are kind of almost like arch enemies of Lord Von Ray, and they they have this sort of competition and together, and I don't know, they're basically rich people, and again they're competing to sort of almost have sort of say over the galaxy. I don't know. Again, not sure I quite understood everything that's going on in this book, but yeah. So kind of, this takes place as it's sort of like 1,000 years after sort of like present day. So the galaxy has opened up, and we have different worlds, and so that was interesting also. But yeah, it's a bit complex. A little I'm not quite sure what happened. A bit of a slow burn, I would say. Really more I think about the characters than the like journey. So if you're looking for like a space journey of going to find something, it's not quite this. You get a lot of backstory from the characters. Well, not all of the characters, but a couple of the characters. And then again, how they interact today. I don't think I'm talking this book up very much, but by the end of it all, I was really like, oh my gosh. By halfway, I was like, I don't know if I can, like I'm struggling a little bit with this one. But I stuck with it because it's not very long, and I'm glad I did. By the end of it, I was like, okay, I could see kind of I think where this was going, and maybe some themes that were happening in here. But yeah, it's not going to be for everyone. If you're looking for sort of a straight up space opera type of story, this just isn't it. Really more about the characters, and yeah, let's just say let's just say that, right? Okay, but it was a fun buddy read. All right, I read Night of the Living Trekkies by Kevin Anderson. Oh my god, this was so much fun. This was so much fun. This was the group read for Zombie-thon. Of course, Zombie-thon was hosted by Kat over at Kat's Novel Adventures. I'll link her channel below. She's amazing. Go check her out. And I'm going to do a Zombie-thon wrap-up too, because I just had a hell of a lot of fun with Zombie-thon. But I read this one. It was so much fun. It was, Star Trek convention. Zombies happen. It was fun. It was a lot. It was really good. It was well written. I had a great time with it. It was a lot of fun. So yeah. Okay, I read volume 1 of Drops of God. This is by Tadashi Agi. Is that Agi? I'm not sure. This is on Kindle Unlimited, if you have Kindle Unlimited. And this is interesting. If you are a wine person, I think you probably definitely like this. I don't know a whole lot about wine in general. I like to drink it, but that's about it. You know what I mean? And I don't know wine. You know what I mean? But I think if you want to know a little bit about wine, I think this volume for sure you can learn a little bit along the way. Excuse me. We found a couple of characters. One is a sort of a fledgling sommelier, and so she's learning, about how, about wines and all this stuff. She works at this kind of highfalutin restaurant, and so we're following her. And then we've got a sort of young man who is the son of a really prestigious wine guy, collector, and knows about wines, and I mean, he's like the man, right? But he passes away, and his son just never really got into wine. He actually sells beer now for this company. But as his father dies, there's a thing in his will about wine, and so he hooks up with this girl, this sommelier trainer, to try to learn about wine, and they have these sort of almost kind of like a little challenge they have to do for him to get something from the will. And I think the story is going to go from here. Maybe a little relationship will develop between these two characters. I don't know. We'll see. But I'm definitely going to continue. I really enjoyed this. It's just kind of slice of life. I don't know if I don't know what's going to happen with the wine bits, but the importance of the wine. I don't know. I'm interested. I'm going to keep going. Again, several of the issues, maybe all of it, I don't know, are on Kindle Unlimited. Again, if you've got it. So, anyway. Okay. I did finish up Danse Macabre by Stephen King. This is for the Stephen King read-along. And I just listened to an audio a little bit at a time, really. And it was interesting. This is a nonfiction story where Stephen King's talking about horror books, or horror and movies. Movies in general, and yeah, it was interesting. Full of sort of his general life anecdotes that he throws into to stuff, and talking about horror in general. It was, I think it's worth an audiobook listen for sure. You can listen to sort of one little kind of chapter at a time kind of thing, and of course it's a little long-winded at times. He is Stephen King after all. Yeah, I enjoyed it overall. Yeah, not much more to say about it really, but as I'm trying to finish, read through all of King's works, it was kind of next in line, right? Okay, let me grab this book because I stuck it up here at the top. I did read. Oh my god, it's stuck. Oh my god, everything's falling. Maybe I'll cut that out. I don't know. We'll see. Oh my god, I don't need all these books. I read this one. My audiobook hold came in. The Undead Truth of Us by Britney S. Lewis. I really loved this. I really did. This ended up being my sort of final book for Zombie-thon, and I thought it was excellent. And So I've been wanting to read this since I got it. I got this at the Winston-Salem, book festival last year. I met Britney, she signed my book and everything. She's so lovely. She's just like amazing. I loved her. So I finally read it, and this gorgeous cover, which makes sense once you read the book. And so they'll say this is a zombie story, but it's very different from a zombie story. Again, this is another YA novel. I really loved it. So our main character is a young woman, young teenager. He has Zari, and right there at the beginning of the book, her mother has passed away, and she since then she sees zombies. So she sees people as zombies, and she doesn't she sort of realizes it's possibly all in her head, and then we sort of navigate or sort of life post, as she has lost her mother. She's living with her aunt. Things are hard. Money's tight. She's going to high school. There's a new boy in town that she's kind of connecting with, and this new friend group that she had to connect with, and because she's in like a new neighborhood, that kind of thing. And just processing this grief, and it was really wonderful. And I think using these zombies as a way for her to move through this grief, I thought was really well done. It's really wonderful. I don't really want to say much else because I think it's just a really lovely book. But it's not a zombie story in the sense that it's like zombies eating brains. It's not really, but it's kind of more in a psychological way. But yeah, I really want you to read it. It was really good, really wonderfully written. I can't wait to read more by Britney. And again, let's just this cover. I really loved it. It's very emotional, and it was really good. It was really good, y'all. Oh my gosh, I've got books book-a-lanching everywhere. Okay, I think that was it. Okay, that was it. How I ended my May. But it's June now. Yeah, it's June, and I finished up a couple of things that I started in May, and had a really good time with these. So I did finish up Skullface Boy by Chad Lutzke. I started that in May, finished it up, and this was the group read, the Patreon book club pick for Ollie's Patreon book club, Ollie at Criminale, of course. And I had a good time with this. This is a coming of age story, kind of a road trip story. We're following a young, teenage guy. He was about 16, I think it was, named Levi, and he has a skull face. Like, he has a skull head. So, so he's an orphan. He's grown up in an orphanage, and so he decides to just hit the road. He's like, my life, I need more for my life, and he has this sort of whisper that maybe there's someone like him that lives out in California, and he lives in Colorado. And this is where the road trip comes in. So he hits the road, he hitchhikes, to California, and it's about the characters that he meets along the way, the little shenanigans that happens, the strange, odd, kind of cast of characters that he meets along the way. And it was quite lovely, actually. I really liked Chad Lutzke's writing, and I think this one was, this one was good. I had a good time with this one. So this is now the third Lutzke book I've read, and I like Chad Lutzke's in general, so, and I really like his books. So, and this one, there's a sweetness to it also that I really liked. Now this isn't straight up horror by any means. This is definitely more just a coming of age road trip kind of story. So if you're looking for horror here, you're not gonna get this from here. But yeah. It was good. I'd say add it to your summer, kind of coming of age reading, yeah. And then this week I finished Jawbone by Monica Ojeda. I loved this book. When I tell you I loved this book, I loved this book. I really did. Another amazing cover, which makes sense once you read the book. And how do you talk about this one? I don't know. So I read this. Of course, this was a sort of group read over at Michelle. Over Michelle's Melancholia has her what's she called? World of Horror? I forget, Michelle. Discord where we're getting lists together of international horror books and movies and things like that. And so this was one that I read, and yes, I loved it. So what happens in this book? It's kind of hard to talk about, but we're basically following these two friends, Annalisa and Fernanda, Annalise and Fernanda. And so again, this is translated. Let me get that information for you. Translated by Sarah Booker. Translated from Spanish. And so these two, they're teen girls, and they go to this all-girls school, which is a bit more of a prestigious type of school, and they are friends, and they're like best friends, and they're best friends, right? And they do everything together, and they explore things together, especially the darker side of things. They really tap into this darkness that they have, this shared love of horror and darkness, like I said. There's also a character named Clara who is a new teacher at this school, and she has this sort of weird old relationship with her mother. So this book really explores relationships between mothers and daughters. I'd also say, how intense friendships between girls can get. I think especially in those sort of preteen to teen years. I think if you are a woman, you will absolutely connect with this book. Maybe a little more than a man reading it. Maybe, I don't know. It's very female, this book. And I loved it, devoured it. I don't want to say too much because I think you just need to read it. I will say the writing of this is wonderful, but it is not for everyone. This book is not going to be for everyone, and I fully acknowledge that. This book is just exactly the kind of book that I love. It's complex, it's challenging, it has these wonderful themes of relationships, of diving into darkness, of even sort of surface level of peer pressure and wanting to belong, and how far will you go to belong, or be accepted, and even some slight cult aspect going on in here. There's a lot to unpack in here if you want to dive in. Again, the writing is a little heavy. Not heavy. I don't want to say heavy. I don't know. It's a distinct writing style, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But it was wonderful. I absolutely loved the writing, so I would say the translator did a wonderful job of portraying what the author was trying to do, because I was totally sucked in, and I was hooked. And I don't want to say much else. Read this book. Read this flipping book. Give it a go. See if you connect with it, and just see what you feel about it, because I just absolutely loved it. 5 stars for me. I loved it. And it gets a little bit disturbing, a bit gruesome. Not gruesome. Maybe not gruesome. Gruesome. Not gruesome. Uncomfortable is the word I'm looking for. A bit uncomfortable at times. It really, it tests the lines. You know what I mean? It really does. And I loved it. I loved every word of it. Jawbone. Read this book. It's fantastic. So that's wrapping up the past couple weeks of what I finished. I do have a couple things in process, of course. I did start Festival. This is by Christopher Golden and Tim Levin. They're illustrated by Peter Bergting. This is for, of course, the Slasher-a-thon, Killer Corn Slasher-a-thon. That's hosted by Kelsey, excuse me, part of our Patreon. I'm just a couple chapters in. Having a fun time with it so far, though. And hopefully this weekend I'll definitely think I'll kind of wrap this one up, because it's really short, and it has all just amazing illustrations throughout. So had a fun time with that. I also, my audiobook hold for 2 big chunky books came in. I don't think I'm gonna finish them both before they go back out, but anyway, my hold for the Love Songs of W.E.B. Du Bois came in, so I'm maybe about a quarter of the way through that one. So far, this is just a sweeping sort of family saga. Multi-generational. It kind of is going back and forth through time, and and it's really good so far. I'm really enjoying it. And this is part of my little book club that I have with some friends of mine. But it's like a 36-hour audiobook. I did not realize it was so big, that this book was so big. But anyway, enjoying it so far. And then lo and behold, my hold for Lonesome Dove came in. I thought I would maybe get this a little bit later, but no, it came in now. And so I'm just gonna listen to it as much as I can. I did start a little bit yesterday, Friday, and maybe got 12% or so into it. And I'm liking it so far. Gus is a hoot of a character, and I have these pigs. Oh my gosh, what's going on? I don't know. So we're fleshing out the world, fleshing out what's going on here, fleshing out the characters still. It's still very early days of this one. This is another like 37-hour long audiobook. I got some listening to do, because my library only get a week hold for some books through this one library card. Anyway, I'm not going to finish both of these books probably before I have to go on the hold list again, but I'm going to get as far as I can. It's still early in the month, right? So yeah, that's wrapping it up. This is a long wrap up, so let's wrap it on up. In the coming week, I'm going to dive into my slasher books for my slasher readathon, and then of course these 2 long audiobooks. And then, just see where the week takes me. It's finally warming up here, so we're trying to hit the pool today. I think that's going to be fun. And just want to say a few words, of course, to our dear Pax that we lost this week. And you will be missed. And, yeah. So thanks for watching, guys. And I'll catch you next one.